Artificial intelligence is from now on a strategic reality for businesses. According to a New Vantage Partner survey, 92% of large organizations have accelerated their investments in AI and big data these last years. And this rush towards AI is explained by the promise of an immediate competitive advantage. 75% of businesses even indicate a fear of being overtaken as investment motivation. In parallel, a study by the Adecco Group shows a rapid adoption of AI tools in the world of work. Adecco underlines that a large number of businesses adopt these new tools, but by insisting on the necessity to place people at the heart of this revolution. This current situation shows a crucial need for guidance, able to be translated into coaching, consulting, or even training activities. The same Adecco study reveals a paradoxical situation. Many managers feel overtaken by the AI revolution and hesitate to equip their current collaborators. Consequence, on the ground, employees appropriate AI in an informal manner, a phenomenon of shadow GPT, where everyone experiments with ChatGPT or other tools, often without framework nor official authorization, and even less guidance. According to Salesforce, 55% of employees who use generative AI at work do so without any approval nor defined internal policy. Yet, these same employees already observe the benefits. 68% of those who use AI at work say they are more productive. The challenge is therefore clear: how to channel and structure this activity around AI to make of it a true lever of performance and collective satisfaction, rather than an uncontrolled risk. It emerges from this that a series of questions arise to integrate concretely and strategically AI into management, the organization of work and performance, as well as team satisfaction. How to equip managers with practical skills in AI. How to integrate AI into the digital managerial strategy of the organization. How to transform team performance in their different professions thanks to AI. How to reorganize work for human-AI collaboration. How to create augmented hybrid teams, humans plus AI. How to structure in an operational way the integration of AI in the organization. How to develop a mindset favorable to AI, adoption, trust, fairness, engagement. How to reinforce efficiency, team autonomy, as well as the quality of management with AI, planning, creativity, steering, reporting. To successfully integrate AI within organizations, leaders and managers should first develop new practical skills and a mindset favorable to AI. This through a true structured development pathway for managers, which could be centered on 4 axes. Basic knowledge in AI. Trust in these technologies. Acquisition of specific skills in AI, for example, knowing how to exploit data, work with AI tools. Acquisition of practices of integration and managerial reorganization around AI. In other words, it is not about transforming a manager into a coder, but about making him/her sufficiently acculturated in AI-augmented management to grasp its potential and align it with the objectives of his/her team, and more broadly, of his/her organization. As quite directly said by Karim Lakhani from Harvard, AI is not going to replace humans, but humans equipped with AI may perhaps replace those who are not. Concretely, equipping managers with AI skills could mean 1. An awareness and an acculturation, initiating managers to the fundamentals of AI, what these tools can and cannot do, possible biases, opportunities by function, etc. 2. A learning by practice, encouraging managers to integrate AI into their own daily tasks. A manager could, for example, use a conversational assistant to summarize a bulky report, or test a predictive visualization tool on his/her sales data. And by gradually learning to use these tools, the manager thus develops his/her intuition on useful use cases. 3. A reassurance. Studies show that some employees will only fully adopt AI if they trust their leaders on the subject. It is then a matter of communicating transparently on the why and the how AI is introduced, intentions, expected benefits, controls in place, issues, in order to remove potential fears. It is interesting to note that, according to the Adecco study, 57% of leaders themselves doubt the capacity of their executive committee to grasp the opportunities and risks of AI, and that only 34% of these leaders have launched internal AI training programs, and that barely half of them actively advise their teams on possible uses. Hence, the need again for guidance in the form of coaching, consulting, or training for managers. For example, aimed at potential AI champions among these managers, who would be voluntary pioneers who could experiment with AI tools, then disseminate their learnings to other managers and to their collaborators, creating a ripple effect. Beyond the question of individual skills, AI-augmented management is manifested in the management's capacity to integrate AI into the organization's strategy and into the conduct of team operations, which presupposes making AI an axis of the company's digital strategy and not simply a marginal experimental project. Some guidance principles, coaching, consulting, training that can be identified. Firstly, align AI with the organization's priority objectives. Link the guidance of AI initiatives to the company's current KPIs and objectives: growth, customer satisfaction, productivity. That is to say, build an AI roadmap aligned with business objectives, which implies, in practice, identifying the domains where AI can solve a concrete problem or improve a key process in the organization. For example, if the objective is to improve the customer experience, one can integrate a virtual assistant to respond more quickly to requests and track the evolution of the first contact resolution rate. Secondly, start with use cases identified as high impact and quick win, and by starting with small pilot AI projects on well-delimited use cases in order to quickly demonstrate added value. For example, a marketing department can test a generative tool to produce product descriptions. If the tool makes it possible to save time while maintaining quality, the benefit is immediate. Another example, a finance manager could automate the classification of supplier invoices via AI and observe 1 or 2 hours saved per week, which would free time for other higher value-added activities. Then measure and communicate about these quick wins, hours saved, errors reduced, additional sales, etc., to create a snowball effect. Different current studies show that AI users already gain on average between 30 and 60 minutes per day on their tasks, time that can be reinvested in higher value-added activities, creative or strategic thinking. Thirdly, promote an AI-augmented management on a daily basis. Leaders and managers setting the example by themselves adopting AI tools in their activity. A manager will use AI, for example, to improve his/her planning, finer sales forecasts, schedule optimized according to data, to improve his/her creativity, generate ideas for new services, to refine the steering of his/her team, dashboards enriched with predictive analyses, signaling warning indicators, or again to automate part of the reporting, automatic generation of monthly reports. Another example, a sales director supported by AI will be able to detect a drop in performance earlier and intervene quickly, or a project manager, freed from reporting tasks, will be able to devote more time to managing his/her team. Integrating AI into an organization is not limited to deploying isolated tools, but involves reorganizing work and adapting processes. To take full advantage of the coactivity between human collaborators and technologies or AI assistants. The objective is then to create real augmented hybrid teams, where human collaborators and artificial intelligences work in concert, each concentrating on what it does best, which then necessitates accompanying the act of rethinking the roles, the workflows, and the very structure of the organization. A first step can consist in accompanying the analysis of the internal processes of the organization to identify which tasks should be devolved to AI and which tasks must remain under human handling or be carried out in tandem. It is therefore here a matter of redrawing workflows by integrating AI where it constitutes an added value. For example, in a customer service, the task of initial response can be ensured by a virtual AI agent for simple requests. Then the human operator takes over to handle the more complex cases. In a project team, an AI can perform an automatic watch, gather data, analyze sector news, while the team focuses on the analysis and decision-making from this information. A quality controller in a factory can be assisted by an AI camera that detects defects on a production line in real time. The AI signals the anomalies and the human operator searches for the cause. In this register, certain human operators will progressively consider AI as a kind of virtual colleague. For example, at a telecom operator, AI can be seen as an additional agent in the support team, with its own workstation on the schedule to process level 1 tickets. Note that regularly, it will also be crucial to set up a human supervision system, what is called human in the loop. The AI then carrying out certain tasks autonomously, but a human, for example, verifies the critical decisions or takes back control in case of doubt. For example, if an AI algorithm proposes a banking credit decision, a human analyst will check the atypical files or borderline cases to ensure there is no error. And this supervision process must then be integrated in the design of the involved process. Other point. Rethinking the allocation of tasks in the era of AI will mean valuing more the properly human skills. Freed from part of the repetitive or analytical work that collaborators can invest, I have already mentioned it, more energy in creativity, negotiation, the management of critical cases, complex tasks. In other words, everything that requires more reasoning and discernment. A Terra Nova report underlines that by freeing employees from technical tasks, the generalization of AI will give more weight to value-added human skills and interpersonal know-how, which will therefore lead to changes in the profiles sought and in the recruitment processes. In other words, human added value will become even more decisive in an environment enriched by AI. It is therefore here a matter of redrawing workflows by integrating AI where it constitutes an added value. For the collaboration of human and artificial intelligences to work, it will potentially be necessary to support the creation of new roles or even new teams within the organization. Several possibilities to mention. Create mixed humans plus AI teams. It can be useful to assemble dedicated teams mixing collaborators and AI systems around certain processes. For example, a bank could set up an augmented compliance team where lawyers work daily with an AI agent that analyzes suspicious transactions upstream. The AI here is an integral part of the team, detecting weak or critical signals, while the humans investigate and make the final decisions. Design new interface roles with AI. The integration of AI will potentially be accompanied by the emergence of unprecedented jobs. One could, for example, envisage the recruitment of prompt designers whose function would be to help the teams correctly formulate their requests to AIs in order to make the answers more relevant and avoid errors. Set up ad hoc transversal teams for the integration of managerial AI. To structure their incorporation of AI, some companies are starting to set up kinds of managerial AI committees. The idea here is to gather the different expertise necessary to reorganize AI-augmented working modes in a given field of activity. Members of the IT department or the data team, business operations, HR, and people in charge of compliance and risks. And this transversal team will identify business needs, the necessary AI technologies, their modes of use in line with the culture and the values of the organization, define the priorities on the basis of the stakes, share best practices. These multidisciplinary task forces can thus be formed to ensure that all perspectives, technical, business, ethical, end user, are taken into account from the design stage of a new AI-augmented management process. Adapt the organization chart. Some organizations are beginning to modify their organization charts by integrating the AI function into the very governance. We see, for example, the emergence of Chief AI Officer, CIO positions attached to the Executive Committee with the mission of orchestrating the AI strategy in its entirety. Similarly, at the level of each business division, as I have already mentioned, it might be relevant to appoint AI reference in marketing, in legal, etc., whose function is to disseminate expertise. In summary, our contemporary augmented companies will quickly equip themselves with a new human architecture around AI. AI then becomes a true organizational actor with hybrid and reshaped teams where it plays an operational role, and with guidance professionals whose mission will be to raise managers' competence concerning these new, augmented modalities of work. Lately, 34% of leaders were already planning to have their employees supported in the use of AI, and this figure will increase, which shows a real emergence of a need for coaching, consulting, and training in the field. And this, keeping in mind the establishment of a virtuous collaboration between human and artificial intelligences, serving both the organizations and the individuals who compose them.
More information about the Managing Organizational Performance with AI executive program by Sorbonne Business School and Neocognition.